Focus this hour remains the clashes and violence that erupted in UP's Kanpur on Friday after one group tried to force shopkeepers to shut down their shops at a popular market in the city over alleged offensive comments. Stones were pelted, crude bombs were hurled and police had to resort to lathi charge and tear gas shelling and to disperse the rampaging mob. So far there have been 3 FIRs that have been registered in the case and several arrests being made as well.
कल की जो घटना हुई थी उसमें त्वरित कार्रवाई करते हुए स्थिति को नियंत्रण में लाया गया। अब वहाँ जितने भी उपद्रवी हैं और उस उपद्रव के पीछे जो षड्यंत्रकारी हैं उनकी पहचान वहाँ जो उपलब्ध वीडियो है उसके जरिए कराया जा रहा है। इन उपद्रवियों की पहचान होगी, इन पर गैंगस्टर की कार्रवाई होगी, इनकी संपत्तियों को भी जब्त किया जाएगा। इसके अतिरिक्त जो मुख्य इसमें जिन लोगों ने भड़काया है लोगों को उनके विरुद्ध उनकी भी पहचान हम लोग कर रहे हैं। कुछ लोगों की पहचान हो भी चुकी है।
And we have some more breaking news coming in. The Kanpur violence probe investigation and eyewitness account. First on Times Now. In fact, Times Now spoke to the eyewitness saying how the violence was pre-planned and how the mob were already armed and they had sticks and stones in their hands. We'll play out that entire eyewitness account first.
बेकनगंज इंस्पेक्टर, ये थाना बेकनगंज लगता है, बेकनगंज इंस्पेक्टर, चौकी इंचार्ज, ये लोग सब यहाँ खड़े हुए थे। तो हम लोगों ने उनसे आग्रह करा कि आप सामने की तरफ बंदूक अगर तान कर खड़े हो जाएंगे तो वो भीड़ इधर नहीं आएगी। लेकिन वो भी 2-3 मिनट रुकते हैं और 2-3 मिनट रुकने के बाद वापस भागते हैं। जैसे कि उन्होंने भी प्लान करके रखा हुआ था कि आज इस हाथे को समाप्त करवा दिया जाएगा।
प्लानिंग समझ में आती है, षड्यंत्र किसी
प्लानिंग समझ में आती है भैया। अगर कोई पूजा पाठ करने मंदिर जाता है, इबादत करने मस्जिद जाता है तो वो ठेले में पत्थर बम, पेट्रोल बम इकट्ठा करके नहीं जाता है।
Alright, some more breaking news coming in of a new violence video that has now been accessed as far as the entire Kanpur clashes and violence is concerned. And as we can see on the exclusive visuals on our screen right now coming in, how these are a mob of people proceeding towards the police officials who are trying to stop them. They are hurling stones and they look very well prepared as they are undertaking this entire attack. Remember, these clashes happened on Friday on a day when the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister and the President of this country were present in Kanpur. My colleague Amir now joins us live from Kanpur and Amir, take our viewers through what exactly can we witness in these new set of visuals where once again we can see how the police force, it was a challenge for them to stop these mob hurling sticks and stones at them.
Well, there is a there are a large number of videos and CCTV footages which have now come out in the open. This definitely will help the police in recognizing all such faces, all such people who are a part of the mob and who indulge in ransacking of public and private property and indulge in throwing of bombs, stone pelting and the kind of violence that we saw that played out after the Jummah prayers on Friday yesterday. Some of these videos provide very clinching, very solid evidences as far as the entire planning that might have gone behind, this violence that sparked yesterday in the afternoon. Because here we can see people, the rioters, the people who are part of the mob actually carrying stones in a hand cart, all the way from perhaps the inside into the alleys or into this Bekanganj area, coming out in the open into this very wide road in the middle which is known as Nai Sadak, which goes towards the Parade Chauraha, and therefore these were the people who were a part of the mob and they were carrying stones in a hand cart. So that tells us about the amount of planning that must have gone behind triggering this kind of a violence. And also in other parts of CCTV footage you can see that the mobsters there are involving themselves into looting various small shops that were on both sides of the roads. In a certain footage, you can see a particular pawn shop that is being looted. That shop is completely brought down. It's broken apart, and then the contents taken away by the mob. There are other shops who were actually looted, and the contents were thrown outside on the road and were used as missiles to attack police and the other people who were on the other side there. So quite clearly, while the prime accused known as Hayat Hashmi has been registered as the prime accused in the FIR registered by the police, there must be much more than what meets the eye through these videos and CCTV camera footages that we have right now. The police is yet to lay its hands on Hayat, and perhaps when he comes into the police's custody, he will spill out beans about who others were actually involved into the entire act, because this couldn't have happened without a detailed planning, because 3rd of June was the day when the President of India, the Prime Minister, were visiting here to embarrass the Yogi government, to highlight their protest before the top leaders of the country. This protest seems to have been planned, and the manner in which the violence erupted and was by the mob here, it clearly shows that although there might be some kind of an intelligence failure that led to this, the police should have actually known what was happening, what was brewing inside. But then the planning was definitely much more than what meets the eye by way of visuals of this rioting and the violence that hit Kanpur yesterday.
Absolutely, Amir, because remember, as you were rightly pointing out, this certainly looks like a case of mass mobilization, and how they were well prepared, because we just heard those eyewitness account once again reiterating that these people were well aware of what they are doing. They had come with sticks and stones in their hand when they were trying to shut those shops on the street.
Well, absolutely, and you see, this planning seems to have happened much before, because initially there was a call that was made by Hayat Hashmi about a week back that they'll converge for mass arrest, they'll court mass arrest to protest the BJP leader's statement against Prophet Muhammad. But then that call was withdrawn because he was called by the police commissioner here. He was apprised of the fact that the Prime Minister and President are visiting Kanpur. It's a sensitive situation, so stay away from any kind of public mobilization or protest out there in the public. And therefore, even Hayat's family members have confirmed this, that the call was withdrawn. But despite all of that, a huge protest was organized right after the Jummah prayers, and people there, the mob that converged here on the parade chalk, they clearly were armed to the teeth as far as their planning was concerned. They were carrying stones and sticks and lathis, and also petrol bombs and crude bombs that were used and hurled on the shopkeepers who hadn't actually closed down their shop. And in fact, the police here was also attacked, and this is a part of the FIR. The police has mentioned this in the FIR, that the local sub-inspector tried to appeal to the mob there, to the public that had gathered there, using the public address system that he had on his hands, and he tried to tell them to pacify themselves, but they, instead of stopping their tracks, they started attacking the police, and that was when the police withdrew and called for more reinforcement. So clearly the police was taken aback, was clearly astonished. It wasn't prepared for this kind of an assault, which was why the violence sustained for a good 4 to 5 hours, between about 2:30 to 3 in the afternoon till well about 7 o'clock in the evening. It was when more police reinforcements were called that these rioters were pushed inside these narrow alleys. The police then started the process of area domination. Certain arrests were done, and it was then that by late night things began to settle down over here. And ever since then, even now, I can show you, I'll ask the camera person to turn around and show you. This is the exercise that the police is carrying on consistently to maintain a strict vigil over here into this entire area, and to see to it that nothing goes amiss, and that the people are assured of their safety and security as far as this troubled area within Kanpur, the Bekanganj area, is concerned.
Absolutely, Amir, and as we can see, the situation on the ground still remains tense. There is heavy police deployment on the ground. But take our viewers through the investigation part as well, but before that, let me also now go across to Gaurav Bhatia joining us over the phone line. And Gaurav Bhatia, even as more and more elements are now coming out of the investigation, we have spoken to eyewitness account that say as to how this was possibly pre-planned and how they were well prepared and armed when they arrived on the streets of Kanpur.
See, a very strong message has been sent to all the stone pelters belonging to a community, and I would say that none would be spared their rightful, and they will have to face serious consequences. Second, these people are disgracing their own religion by indulging in violence, and especially after the Friday prayers. What is the message that they are trying to send out? That they meet for Friday prayers and after that they believe in stone pelting on citizens, pelting on shopkeepers who are honestly trying to earn their livelihood? Is this not a disgrace for the religion that they profess? And I appeal to all Muslims to come out and teach such violent protesters a lesson, and they should learn that this is unacceptable from any person in the community.
All right, thank you, Bhatia, for joining us here on this broadcast. Going across to Anurag Bhadoria of the SP also joining us. Yes, Anurag Bhadoria ji, आपका रिएक्शन क्या होगा इस पर? हमने देखा कानपुर में कल क्या हो रहा था, साथ ही साथ हमने आई विटनेस और वहां के जमीनी लोगों से भी बात की जो ये कह रहे हैं कि पूरा वायलेंस प्री प्लान था और किस तरह से वो पहले से ही अपने बॉम्ब्स के साथ या अपने स्टोन्स और स्टिक्स के साथ वहां मौजूद थे।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ऐसी बात कहती है तो इसके मतलब सरकार का इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट फेलियर है, सरकार की कानून व्यवस्था फेलियर है। तो सरकार खुद को गाली दे रही है, मान रही है कि हम प्रदेश में कानून व्यवस्था नहीं बना पा रहे हैं। कानपुर की घटना तो जिम्मेदारी बनाए रखने की, कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने की जिम्मेदारी तो सरकार की है, विपक्ष की तो जिम्मेदारी सहयोग की है, सरकार को बनाए रखना है। लेकिन सरकार अपनी जिम्मेदारी से नहीं भाग सकती और मेरा तो कहना है कि बीजेपी के प्रवक्ताओं को भी जब वो बोलते हो तो देश में सभी का सम्मान करना चाहिए। हिंदुस्तान की संस्कृति संस्कार है कि हम किसी का अपमान नहीं कर सकते और सरकार की जिम्मेदारी होती है कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखना। सरकार अपनी
अनुराग भदौरिया जी, यहाँ पे कुछ मुस्लिम क्लेरिक्स की भी बात सामने आ रही है कि वो उन्होंने शायद अलेजिडली प्रोवोकेटिव स्टेटमेंट्स जारी किए थे, साथ ही साथ एक मेन अक्यूज भी है, वो फिलहाल फरार है।
मेरी बात आप नहीं समझ पाए, इसकी मतलब सरकार की कानून व्यवस्था पूरी तरह से चरमरा गई। कानून व्यवस्था का अंतिम संस्कार हो चुका है। जब सरकार किसी चीज का पता ही नहीं लगा पाती है, सरकार का इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट पता ही नहीं चला पाता है तो सरकार किस में बिजी है? सरकार बिजी है यहाँ पे ग्राउंड सेरेमनी, किस तरह से इन्वेस्टमेंट समिट हो, कैसे मार्केटिंग हो, कैसे इवेंट हो, कैसे माहौल बनाया जाए, कैसे समाज के अंदर में कैसे हम समाज को सपना दिखाएं, लेकिन सपने के पीछे करना कुछ नहीं है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक नफरत की राजनीति को पैदा करना है और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने में नाकाम होना है। इतनी सी बात है।
Alright, धन्यवाद अनुराग भदौरिया जी हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। Once again going back to Amir. So Amir, several political reactions coming in, even as the opposition is now blaming the state government for their inaction and not being aware of a lack of intelligence. But we'll try to go back to Amir shortly. But we have been speaking to eyewitness accounts who are now saying and calling it a pre-planned attack, but now a new violence video that has now been accessed here on Times Now, which clearly shows what exactly happened on Friday when their entire clashes broke out. Now, the family of the main accused has been tracked. That's the big update. Zara Hayat, the wife of the main accused, Zafar Hayat Hashmi, calls him innocent, admits that Hashmi gave the protest call for June 3rd initially, but withdrew it immediately after the police instruction, put out a post on social media that it has been cancelled. So we have seen, even as the accused in the case who is still absconding, we have seen this first reaction now coming in from the wife of Hashmi, who is now claiming his innocence and also stating how he had given and in fact accepting the fact that there was a call of protest by him for 3rd June initially, but he had withdrawn it soon after there was a police instruction that was issued and put in place, and he had issued this clarification through a social media post that this particular protest has now been cancelled. We'll wait and see how the police reacts to that, because remember, the name of Hashmi has now appeared in 2 different FIRs, a total of 3 FIRs that has now been filed in this case. And this is the first response coming in from the family members of the accused in the case, who are now claiming his innocence despite the fact that the police is still in search of Hashmi, who has not been arrested yet, but he has been named in 2 separate FIRs of the case.
के फेसबुक व्हाट्सएप पे उन्होंने एक आह्वान किया था 3 तारीख वाला कि 3 तारीख को वो बंदी करेंगे, और फेसबुक पे भी उन्होंने डाला था क्योंकि नबी पाक हुज़ूर अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के खिलाफ शान के खिलाफ गुस्ताखी हुई थी। लेकिन इस प्रोग्राम से पहले ही कमिश्नर साहब ने उनको फ़ोन करके बुलाया और कहा कि पीएम मोदी जी और योगी आदित्यनाथ जी कानपुर में उस दिन हैं, तो बराए मेहरबानी आप ये प्रोग्राम स्थगित कर दीजिए। फैज़ ज़फ़र हाशमी ने कमिश्नर साहब के साथ लिखित में भी दे दिया और उनसे कह भी दिया कि मैं ये प्रोग्राम नहीं करूँगा, मैं पूरी जिम्मेदारी लेता हूँ। तो ये बिल्कुल गलत है, जिस तरह से उनको मास्टरमाइंड बताया जा रहा है, ये बिल्कुल गलत है, क्योंकि वो कमिश्नर साहब से भी स्टेटमेंट दे चुके हैं और कल के बयान में भी कोई खबर नहीं मिल रही है उनकी कि वो कहाँ है। उनके सारे फोन पर वो कहाँ गए थे, जब रात में 9 बजे वो घर से निकले, उसके बाद उनको कोई पता नहीं है।
All right, so that was the wife of one of the main accused in the case, who's now claiming his innocence. We'll wait and see how the police investigation unravels further. Slipping into a short break, we'll be back with the latest. Stay tuned.